Hello lads, welcome to the first video of 2025. 2024 sure was a very interesting year, wasn't it lads? We had a whole new run of comics, some very off-kilter interesting new videos, and a whole movie. Before I start off proper, I'd like to genuinely thank you all for your support. 2025 marks 10 years since I created Clapham's Adventures, and it's just so jarring to see how far it's come. And I wouldn't be here without all your support. All of you guys reading the comics, all of you guys watching the movie, all of you guys watching my off-kilter videos and being very patient with me when I miss deadlines. I genuinely really appreciate it. I appreciate every single one of you. Thank you. So I suppose you're probably wondering, do I have anything special planned for this year? Do I have anything important planned for this year? Well, I always have little ideas that I'd always like to try out, and sometimes I have little concepts in my head that I think might be fun to play around with. You know, like your From the Archives and that one video that I made towards the end of the year. But this year it seems that all the ideas I have are kind of in flux, and I kind of want to do all of them. But we'll see how many we can do. Unfortunately, towards the end of last year, I had a lot of losses in the family. And of course, at the middle of last year, I had a kidney stone, which kind of knocked me out for 2 whole weeks. Last year was definitely a difficult one, but we move forward. So first and foremost, Clapham Season 4. The plan is for that to be released sometime around June. Why June specifically? Because I think June is the month I first made Clapham in 10 years ago. So I think it'll be a nice little parallel to start Clapham in June rather than July as I usually do. What can I say about Season 4? Well, the animation has taken a bit of an up. My little brother's watched a lot of it. He's kind of my quality control officer in a way. And he says it's some of the best animation I've done. And so I'm very excited to put it out there. Of course, if you watched last year's end of year Kappa video, there was a little sort of sneak peek at the end of the AMV, which I may upload on its own at some point. So if you watch that little section of the AMV, yeah, you can see the animation's really taken an up. I wouldn't want to spoil anything for you, but I will say that some of the episodes I've made have now genuinely gone up there in my favourite episodes list. Also, I've tried to stray away from returning villains, and I've tried to create my own new villains now. There are brand new villains in almost every single episode, and I hope you like them, and I hope they become mainstays like Galaxor and the Dark One and such. When the time is right, you'll definitely be seeing more and hearing more about them. They're a very colourful bunch of characters, and I hope you enjoy them, and I hope you enjoy Season 4, which will be coming out in the summer of 2025. Now, usually every year something comic book related comes out. Back in 2021 it was the first adventure, 2022 is the first comic run, 2023 What Destiny Wills, and last year it was a whole brand new run of comics. However, unfortunately I don't really have anything Clapham related this year. I had a dissertation and that thing took up an awful lot of my time. I have been tinkering around with a couple Clapham comics. I've written a plot for a new graphic novel and I'm tinkering away with a new little introductory thing for new fans. But right now I don't really have anything Clapham related, except for my dissertation. Now, my dissertation is a cool little thing. I talked to my directors about it and they said, well, you're an artist, why don't you play off that? And so what I've done is I've kind of made a Diary of a Wimpy Kid kind of story, where you have a diary entry and comics alongside it and lots of little illustrations. It's very different and not at all like Clatham's Adventures, I must say. It's a lot more abstract. If Clatham's Adventures is Spider-Man, this thing is Doctor Strange, let's just put it that way. But yeah, I'd love to put it out there. I think this year I'm going to put it out there as the comic of the year, and I hope you enjoy it. It's definitely a change of pace. It's very different from the Clapham stuff. You know, it doesn't concern teenagers, it concerns adults now. And it's a story that's very close to me, and I hope you enjoy it. It was great fun writing it. It was great fun getting the grades back. It was great fun looking at my directors, giving me feedback and stuff. It's definitely something that I'm very proud of, and so I'd like to put it up for all my pencil burn fans to view. And I hope you enjoy it. Right now, it's called Ralph's Odyssey. It doesn't have a cover, but rest assured, a cover will be drafted soon. I think it's actually kind of cool to do this. It gives Pencil Burn Studios more clout than just Clatham's Adventures. You know, we have Clatham's Adventures, we have Jason Jones, and then we have this. You know, it differentiates, it gives more flavour to the whole Pencil Burn Studios vibe. So I hope you enjoy it. Speaking of comics though, ultimately leads to audio visuals. Now, back when I did the first comic run, I included a lot of the comic strips that were in the magazine in some of the audio visuals, like a couple Magic Henry strips, a couple Matthew and Billy strips. You know, I just threw them in a couple episodes. And you may notice that when I did audio visuals for this year's magazine stories, I didn't do that, and that was on purpose. You see, the thing with the comic strips last year is that I wanted to make cohesive stories for them. So every strip strip has its own cohesive story. And last year I was just throwing in random comic strips and uploading the rest of them on TikTok and stuff, and I didn't think that would work if I did it last year, because you'd have big chunks of the story just missing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a video compiling all these comic strips together, sort of a comic cavalcade if you will. I think this is a really neat idea because I've always wanted to have solo adventures for Matthew and Billy and Henry and the Anna clan and such. And hopefully if this video is successful, then perhaps I could keep going with that. Perhaps the next graphic novel could be about Magic Henry, or I can write a written story about Matthew and Billy. It'll be interesting, it'll be a nice little experiment. And of course I have an awful lot of Clavin comics and little comic strip things I've accrued over the years. I'd like to throw a couple of those in there, you know, so it stays in the Clavin brand. But yeah, we'll mostly focus on the other members of the Clavin squad, as I call it. It'll be a neat little variety show kind of thing. I hope you enjoy it. I'm going to work on it as soon as I can. Another thing I like to do this year is do something with What Destiny Wills, that graphic novel from about 2023. I think I'd like to actually overhaul it a little bit. The original document has a lot of spelling mistakes and kind of weird wording, and I think I'd like to go back and fix all of that. So I think this year I'm going to release a What Destiny Wills special edition sort of thing. Just a little neatening up and tidying up of the whole thing, just to give it more of a professional flair and to make it more coherent perhaps. So you can look forward to that. You can read What Destiny Wills all over again and even find some new things in there perhaps. Another thing that I'm definitely thinking about releasing this year as well is the long coveted Clavin pilot that I keep wittering on about. So for those of you who don't know, back in 2017 I made a little Clavin cartoon and I got some of my friends to be the voices, and it was sort of like a voice test because I'd asked people to be a part of the Clavin cast for like cutscenes when it was a video game. So this was sort of a test to see if their voices worked, and it went pretty well. So I kind of call this the Clavin pilot because it was like the first episode of Clavin's Adventures ever animated, you know? It wasn't the first Clavin animation by a country mile or anything, but it was like the first Clavin narrative episode thing. And I think it would be neat to drop it this year. I've talked to a lot of people who worked on it. They said they're absolutely fine with it being online. I just got to talk to 2 more people, and I think then I can drop it and you'll be able to watch it. You'll be able to see the before time with the pre-season 1 stuff. I could definitely put it in a From the Archive 3. There's also some other content with different voices for the Clavin cast. So yeah, that's something to look forward to. The long lost but not really lost Clavin's Adventures pilot out there for the viewing public to see. I just have to work a couple things out and I think I'll be able to do it. Like I said earlier, I have so many ideas and so many concepts for this new year. I have so many things that I think would be very cool to do, and I have so many things that I think would be very interesting to take a crack at. But of course, back in 2023 I said there'd be a Clavin manual and there wasn't. So I'm kind of apprehensive to kind of pull the trigger and say that this is definitely going to happen. So I apologise if this video seems a bit sparse. All I can really confirm is that we're going to get my dissertation out as the comic of the year. Season 4 is going to come out. I'm going to make that comic cavalcade video, and then I'm going to re-release a version of What Destiny Wills, the remastered edition if you will. But you know, the year is long and it's only just began. Who knows, you know, maybe something that I didn't even think of right now will appear in the middle of summer or something, I don't know. It's a long year and my brain never sleeps, so I may come up with a very cool idea and I might drop it one day. I'm full of surprises, you might say. I've been putting out a couple YouTube shorts last year. Maybe I'll do some more of them. I've been thinking about making like little sneak peeks for season 4 and little clips of previous seasons and comics and the movie and stuff. That could be pretty fun. And maybe expect a couple off-kilter me talking to the camera type videos. Also, I feel it's worth mentioning that Pencilburn Studios now has a wiki page. It was made by Tristan a couple of years ago, and it's been open for people to make their own articles on. I've been working on that in the background. I've made a couple of pages for Clavin and Sophie, and I've been working on a page that was done for Mad Mac. So yeah, maybe you could tune into there. Maybe I'll drop some secret nuggets of information. Who knows? I'll leave the link in the description and you can check out what I've written already. So I hope you enjoyed this little update. I hope you look forward to the things I've announced here. I apologise for the lack of things, and I'll be seeing you around. Have a great year, and see you later.